Be sure to subscribe to the channel and let's promote respect for the Royal Guard together. Let the whole world see how many of us there are. A drunk tourist thought she could do whatever she wanted, crossing boundaries and trying to kiss a Royal Guardsman. But his unexpected reaction shocked everyone, and the consequences became a lesson that won't be forgotten anytime soon. The sunlight broke through the clouds, casting a golden glow over the majestic square in front of Buckingham Palace. Tourists crowded tightly around the White Line, a symbolic boundary separating the royal guards from the public. The air was filled with the sound of clicking cameras, the cheerful laughter of children, and the animated chatter of tour guides. The guards, the epitome of discipline, stood motionless. Their bright red uniforms gleamed in the sunlight, and their towering bearskin hats made them resemble statues from another era, embodying the grandeur of the British monarchy. Amid the crowd stood a woman who immediately drew attention. Around 40 years old, she wore a shimmering bright green dress that sparkled so much it could be spotted from a distance. In her hand was a champagne flute, and her unsteady steps made it clear this wasn't her first glass of the day. Her high-pitched laughter cut through the noise of the square, making heads turn in her direction. "Where's the life in this place?" she shouted, gesturing dramatically toward the guards. "What is this, a museum exhibit?" A few tourists exchanged disapproving looks. Nearby, an older man in glasses muttered quietly to his companion, "That's just disrespectful. This is the Royal Guard, not some cheap attraction." But the woman seemed entirely unfazed. Shooting a quick glance at the man, she shrugged and loudly declared, "Oh, relax. We're all tourists here. I'm paying for this spectacle, so why not get a little show out of it?" With those words, she stepped closer to the White Line. The crowd fell silent, their attention fixed on her movements. Some began recording on their phones, sensing something was about to unfold. "Let's see what they'll do if I bring one of them to life," she quipped with a sarcastic grin, playfully swirling her champagne glass. Her actions didn't escape the notice of the nearest guardsman. A tall man with a perfectly upright posture remained motionless, but the tension in his jaw revealed that he was fully aware of her behavior. His gaze remained fixed on the horizon, as though oblivious to her antics. This stark contrast between his stoicism and her audacity only amplified the absurdity of the situation. "Oh, so serious," she taunted, leaning closer to the soldier. "How about a smile? Just a little one, for the tourists." The crowd buzzed with murmurs. Some shook their heads in disapproval, while others watched with intrigue. The atmosphere in the square grew tense, but no one could have anticipated that the situation was about to spiral out of control. The tourist confidently stepped over the White Line, ignoring the concerned voices from the crowd. "Step back! That's against the rules!" called out an elderly woman standing with her grandson. Her warning was met with a loud laugh. The woman in the green dress raised her champagne glass, the liquid sloshing playfully as she directed her phone toward the nearest guard's face. "Come on, handsome! Give us a smile! This is for the memories!" she said, adding a raspy tone to her voice for comedic effect. The guard, like a statue, didn't flinch an inch. His posture and stony expression only heightened the contrast with her brash behavior. However, the slight tension at the corners of his mouth betrayed his restrained reaction. "Well, if you won't smile," she drawled, taking a small sip of champagne, "I'll make you do it myself." She took another step forward, her face now just inches from his towering bearskin hat. The crowd gasped, and the clicking of phone cameras intensified. "This is unacceptable!" exclaimed a man with a child, watching the scene unfold with visible disapproval. "Mr. Impassive, do you even have emotions?" She chuckled, attempting to touch his hat. Her movements were clumsy yet insistent, fueled by the liquid confidence from her champagne. The guard remained still, but his gaze grew sharper, almost warning. His body seemed to radiate a restrained power, ready to be unleashed at any moment. Encouraged by the laughter of onlookers and her own intoxicated state, the woman decided to escalate her antics. She leaned in closer, her breath audible even in the tense silence of the crowd. "If you're so unyielding," she said with a playful smirk, "let me give you a kiss." She made a sudden move forward, as if attempting to kiss his face. The crowd froze, and the sound of a single camera shutter echoed through the square as the situation spiraled out of control. The guard suddenly took a step forward. The motion was so swift and precise that the woman flinched, instinctively stepping back. The heavy stomp of his boot echoed across the square, silencing everyone. "Step back behind the line," his loud, commanding voice cut through the air. "You are violating royal protocol." The crowd gasped. A stunned silence followed, broken only by the clicking of cameras and hushed whispers. "Did you see that? They almost never move." The woman who had been the picture of cocky confidence moments ago was now visibly shaken. Her pale face betrayed her nerves, and her hands trembled as they clutched the champagne glass. I was just... It was a joke. I meant no harm," she stammered, her voice shaky and uncertain. But the guard's eyes remained cold and focused. His towering presence, coupled with his unwavering posture, exuded authority and discipline. And then, something extraordinary happened. Without breaking his composure, the guard slightly tilted his head and smiled. It was a faint, fleeting smile, but it was enough to send the crowd into a frenzy of applause. "Incredible!" someone in the crowd exclaimed. "That's professionalism at its finest." The woman, realizing that her attempt at humor had backfired, let out a nervous laugh and took another step back. But the incident wasn't over. From around the corner of the palace, a security officer emerged with a confident stride. His stern, almost icy gaze locked onto the woman, freezing her in place. "Ma'am, you need to come with me," he said curtly, approaching her and gently taking her by the elbow. The woman mumbled something incoherent, her voice full of embarrassment, but the officer was already leading her away from the white line. The crowd erupted into applause again, with people shouting, "That's honor for you! Well done! A master class in composure!" The guard, returning to his post, resumed his motionless stance, once again resembling a statue. The message was clear. Despite the unusual incident, duty called, and his service continued uninterrupted. The video of the incident at Buckingham Palace went viral, spreading across the internet within hours. Comments flooded in beneath the footage. "The Guardsman is the embodiment of honor and discipline. That smile was perfect. That woman clearly crossed the line. It's good she was reminded of boundaries. How can composure and a rigid stance be so powerful? The Royal Guard at its finest." People admired the Guardsman's poise, applauding his ability to maintain dignity, while showing that professionalism and humanity can coexist. The next day, the atmosphere at Buckingham Palace felt transformed. Tourists approached the White Line with noticeable caution, their expressions conveying respect. Cameras were raised above shoulders, and hands stayed well away from the invisible barrier. "This is the Royal Guard. Behave yourselves," visitors whispered gently to one another. A young father and his daughter stopped in front of one of the guards. The little girl gazed up in awe, her eyes glowing with admiration. "Thank you for your service," the man said, offering a slight bow as he held his daughter's hand more firmly. The guardsman, maintaining his strict posture, gave a subtle nod in acknowledgement. His figure, clad in a red tunic and black bearskin hat, stood tall against the morning sun, a symbol of unwavering tradition. Inspired by the moment, the crowd burst into applause once again. That day became a powerful reminder to all present. The Royal Guard is not only a symbol of Britain's grandeur, but also an example of how discipline, honor, and humanity can thrive within a single individual.